this time with feeling. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Gaming Without Gaming's Rise of Tiamat, Horror of the Dragon Queen. I'm Andrew, your Dungeon Master.
I'm Mary, and I'll be playing Zelania Kellert, the Wood Elf Sorcerer.
I'm Seth. I'll be playing Cespedes, the Dragonborn Paladin.
My name is Eric. I'm playing Falar, the Wood Elf Ranger.
So one quick announcement. We have decided to diverge a little bit from this module. While it's a lovely module that was produced by Wizards of the Coast, we're all becoming a little bit more interested in doing a little bit more of a homebrew campaign. So we're going to kind of wrap this up a little bit early, a little bit different than what's in the module, which is actually kind of nice because this way, if you guys want to, you can play through a more exciting adventure on your own. But we're going to keep the same characters, and we're just going to continue over into a little bit of a homebrew, still within Faerun and within the Sword Coast. That being said, we're going to go ahead and dive right on into things, with a small recap, so not a dive. As a quick reminder, just because it's been so long for us, our overall goal for our champions here is to find the cultists of Tiamat that had previously been plaguing the southern portions of the Sword Coast and are now moving hordes of treasure up through Baldur's Gate and then up through Waterdeep and then continuing on into the frozen north. They know this is their route. They just have to find out exactly who it is. So it's a little bit of a mystery right now. Last time we left off, our heroes were currently covering over the dead fields. A mighty storm had blown in and lost 3 of the caravan. However, 2 are recovered, but a small gnome and his mule and cart are still left out there. When they did wake up briefly after the storm had passed over, they found a large field of these now new mushrooms that shrieked whenever they were stepped on. Our ranger was able to quickly figure out that while disturbing, these mushrooms were not threatening in any way, shape, or form. And with that, our heroes are ready to break out for the day. Currently, the temperature of the camp is very divided. Do we wait and try to find the missing cart, or do we just accept the fact that this is a dangerous journey and people get left behind? So, with that being said, it's breakfast. What would everybody like to do?
So I remember something about we had a cart of people that had headed out early, correct?
There was a group of them that were wanting to head out early, but everyone's a little hesitant to leave without the majority of the group. In that group wanting to leave early, you had the Red Wizard of Thane, Aris Joss, and his crew. They had, when the storm had hit, they had decided to haul ass and leave everybody else behind in the storm, mostly because they knew where the way station was. You also have the tanner, Archery Eulenton, and his 2 carts of ruffians and furs, who are also looking to move on further on and leave, leave a good chunk of the group behind. Oin Evanmore, another human merchant of exotic animals, he's also looking to leave. However, Ildra Lul, an elven merchant who sells exotic goods, she's believing it's safety in numbers, and even though the number of missing is only 1, she knows that she would hate it, and she's very, very vocal about it. She would hate it if she was the one that was left behind. And there's a few other, and those seem to be the main points of, I would hate this as if this was me, the very empathetic people versus the more pragmatics, to be honestly. They're not, you're not really getting like a heartless vibe from anybody. Maybe the Wizard of Thane, but everybody else is just kind of like, shit happens, guys. It's literally called the Fields of the Dead.
I think Fowler's opinion here is that he wants to stay with the front of the pack as much as possible. Like I'm down to move on as soon as possible.
Yeah,
And
we
when you
need to get
say
where
that,
we
that's
need to
actually a point. Oh, sorry. When you say this caravan's got to get where it's got to go, that's where Oin really chimes up. He's like, "Yeah, I've got sales to make, and there's only with all my animals, I've only got so much feed that I've got to get from major city to major city, where I then got to resupply, and then I've got hungry, angry animals." He says this while holding like some very brightly colored snake wrapped around his arm as he slowly strokes it.
I'm going to tell him that his animals look good to eat and that we need to stay here and help the missing elf? No.
No, I'm in a cart. Just it's like the Segway. It's like a medieval Segway. That's what this guy's. That's what's missing. Just as a reminder, in addition to the some of the things that you guys have faced in this journey, were the end caps that stole horses, and there have been a few rounds of undead. You've actually detected them slumbering below the dirt, and I believe at one point in time, didn't you guys come across like an undead troll or ogre, something like yeah? So it's even really large
There are a couple of them.
undead, not just your run of the mill skeleton.
So just to make sure I got this right, some of this party, the people that have the main interests of business, are shipping up to move out no matter what we decide, correct?
Everyone here, with the exception of, I will say, your cart, everyone here is an entrepreneur some way, shape, or form. They're either a merchant, they're a teamster, so they're hauling the cargo. Honestly, the only people aside from you who aren't openly dealing with the selling and trading of goods is the lawyer and the Red Wizard of Fame. Everyone else, like, while you may not be able to see their wares, you can see the giant covered wagons and barrels and crates, and you can hear the animals and the clanking of pottery. So also to your point, you're kind of like caveman? Aridin. Well, no, wait, no, I thought Aridin was the ranger.
Valar.
Valar, Aridin. Okay. To Aridin's point, Caridin. There we go. I knew being able to see.
You get a pass. It's been a while.
Yeah. I also have it up here over my other screen, so I'm only seeing it at the corner of my eye. But Caridin's point, you guys.
Yeah, we did.
Made an attempt,
did go back.
made a small attempt during the storm. The storm is passed now, and no one has made the attempt. No one. I'm going to go ahead and make the DM ruling of you made a small attempt because it does feel like you made one, but it was still raining or overcast, and you haven't made one since the sky is cleared. But also to kind of like go with your point though of like you don't want to ring a bell. You guys are loud when you move. I would say everything within 100 meters easily hears you, even if it's hidden behind a hill.
Yeah, I checked with my notes during the storm. We did go back, and there was multiple missing carts. We found the lawyers, and Cespedes was able to lift their cart out of the mud and get them back safely. So we did try. We've tried to go back and find everyone.
Yeah, and like shit, that was during the storm. So I guess here's the question: is now that the storm has passed, do we go, we've tried, let's move on, which seems to be about half of the group, or do we go, let's try again? And I would say, and I would say that Eldrilul, I know I'm butchering that elven name, but I don't speak Elvish. Yeah, nerd check me. She's pleading for one more attempt to find him, one more honest attempt.
So, what would be our
With the elf.
chances if everyone else in the caravan bailed and started heading to the destination, and we stayed back for an hour or two? Are we good enough to catch back up?
It depends on how much progress they're able to make moving forward. The caravan does move. The caravan as a group moves slower than an individual cart.
We're still in that
So
war
there is
cart,
that.
right?
Yeah, you guys are in that heavy ass war cart. That being said, you guys are also the most prepared to defend anything off because of your heavy ass war cart. And it looks like four carts are gonna leave. Period. That's Asbara, the Red Wizard, Archie, the Tanner, and his 2 carts, which would include the Pole and that whole community, and Oin, with his exotic animals. They're going to go. Eldril, I'm just going to call it Ms. Lewell because I can say that. Ms. Lewell, she is definitely going to stay, as well as the lawyer and 2 other carts as well. So it's a pretty even split in terms of what's staying. I will say the vast majority of muscle, though, is in that first group. You guys would become the real centralized muscle then of this section if you guys stay, even for an hour or two. But it's also been, when you split in this kind of size, unless you guys really decide to push it, you'll end up moving almost the same speed as them. That being said, when they break for camp, if you guys push on an extra 2 to 3 hours that night, you may be able to catch up with them. So there's a lot of things going on here in terms of making this decision.
Well, the other thing is the 3 of us who are elves move not necessarily faster than a horse, but definitely faster than horses pulling carts through muddy terrain.
Yeah, I would say you guys are probably moving, when everything is said and going, at about 40 miles an hour, and a horse could easily move 60 without getting too winded or fatigued. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. With your courses together, everyone's staying together, the entire caravan's only moving about 40 miles an hour. Like it's just slightly faster than what the monk can sprint on his own. You'll run out of key points before you catch up to the car.
Plus
I
2.
got 5.
Let's see. I'm looking at my sheet.
I printed mine out.
I'm at plus 5. I believe
Yeah,
I do.
as a ranger, you should have favored terrain.
Right.
If you have plains or hills, I would say that would apply to this terrain. Forest, not so much because there's not a whole lot of trees. Also, these hills aren't quite tall enough to be mountains. So hills, plains, something along those lines.
No.
I'd even allow flat land if that was just, or grass.
Yeah, I'm a natural explorer of forests. So
I kind of assumed since we're all wood elves and whatnot.
I don't know that we ever
No, I
quite
think we only
decided
have
that.
the two, but as far as I know, we only
kind
had the
of-
two pulling the cart.
I kind of always had it in my head that because you had the cart before we had Falar, that you had two horses for that. And then Falar came on his own riding animal of choice. I just assumed that. And I'm willing to give it to you if you want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, if for a GM decision, like I said, I don't think we ever really quite talked about it, but that would make sense, and I'm cool with just having another horse. Yeah, and I do have some pretty decent, survival and scouting abilities, so me going would make the most sense.
All right. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go with the party that's going to go look back first. And we will also go ahead and say that in a similar direction, but like not like 100% with you guys. Ms. Lowell is going to have one of her guards also go and take a quick look. This would be Edelkin, the dwarf female guard you guys had met. Oh, that's because there was like 50 of them. I picked 12. That was kind of like honestly one of the best things about this module. They were like, here are NPCs, use them.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Whoever's driving the horse, as long as you are like riding and looking left and right, you're going to be made with disadvantage because you're still holding on to the horse. Your perception or survival, whatever you do. Whoever is just riding and just holding on, regular roll. If you pull over and like really scour the ground, obviously you're not driving, that disadvantage disappears. Going to make the assumption, so correct me if I'm wrong, that Falar, because it's your horse, you're driving.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Mine's at a +2.
It's a trained horse. It's not hard, and animal handling really only comes into play if you're trying to like push it past what its training is, or trying to drive it into battle. Horse go.
Sorry, what was that? +2.
Yeah, you are a wizened elf.
Yeah, but I'm not too smart.
I don't know that anybody in this party is particularly smart.
Zell is the
Yeah, I'm
most
11.
intelligent with a +1.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah, no.
Hey, I rolled a 9. I'm at a negative modifier for intelligence, so someone can come on my horse.
What I think is hysterical is the other game that I'm playing that also has a monk, a ranger, a wild sorcerer, and a paladin. The wild sorcerer, who is hands down the most feral of anybody, is also the only one with a positive intelligence score. It's also a kobold.
You know, I'm a soldier. I just follow directions. Who needs to be smart?
You know, don't eat that plant. And that's enough.
Good thing
Okay.
that one's not intelligence based.
Okay. So what we'll do here is I will give you guys your so let's kind of give this a little bit of an outline. How much time are you willing to spend on this in total, or riding out and then back? How much?
Yeah, if we're on a single
Okay.
horse that's not bound to a cart, we are at a distinct advantage to catch back up.
Yeah. You're not even really gonna have to push there will be like maybe 2 checks to really push to catch up before sunset.
Which makes me a little
concerned.
happy because I don't like dividing parties.
Yeah. So yeah, so with that being said, so like probably 4 solid hours of looking, the rest of the time catch back up.
Yeah. 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. That's basically your morning is spent looking for this guy, and then by the time lunch hits, that's when you turn around to go catch up. Sound about right? Or
I kind of figured that we'd spend a certain amount of time trying to find a trail. If we don't find a trail, we're done. If we do, we'll continue.
Okay. All right. Right, but I mean, just keep in mind here where it was storming very heavily. You guys could barely see the carts in front of you, and at one point in time, you couldn't see the cart in front of you. And you know the carts were staying. You know they were social distancing, but not that far. So,
Right.
okay.
Well, I think between the both of us, we've got plenty of perception to pick that up, hopefully.
All right. So with that being said, roll me. You can choose. I will allow for either survival or perception for this, whichever is higher you like more. Either of those will work fine. Just remember, Falar, you are driving, so disadvantage.
All right.
In honor system. So I'm really going to divide this up into. It's kind of a play by ear, but yeah, we'll call this hour 1.
I got a 13
on survival or perception.
Perception.
Okay. Within that first hour of riding, you're really able to solidly stay on the path that you guys had taken. And even at this time, Eldkin, she's riding her pony. She's a little bit further off from you. She seems to be going over more crests and hills, but she's actively keeping like a bead on where you guys are to like keep with the path. But you haven't found anything like a divergence right there. I'd say at this point in time, you're kind of going the same speed at which the wagons were traveling. So not very fast. It's a little bit more than a trot. But yeah, so you don't really find any divergence in the first hour. But you're solidly able to stay on the main path, and you're also able to clearly see specifically Carradine. You're able to see Eldakin and how she's actively keeping a bead on you and actively searching. You can actually, the other thing, I'll go ahead just for flavors. You can see like in her reins gripped, she has a horn in her hand. All right. So yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll call that hour 1. We'll do this next hour 2. Go ahead and roll that.
Ouch. 10.
13 to 10. All right. On the second hour, though, you both do actually find, because it's very wet, and even though that mushrooms have fallen over even as far back as here, you are able to see that there is a point at which it's kind of interesting, because at first you kind of like walk past it and you're like, oh, hey, there's a set of tracks. And you kind of like almost turn around, and that's, you actually see where the drift goes slightly to the west around one of the hills, which is a little bit extra disturbing because your overall goal to your next destination was actually east. So you're kind of heading in a northeastern fashion, and this guy kind of started to drift west. You're not certain if it's the cart you're looking for or one of the other carts that got lost last night, because you also did find some of them a little bit further west. But these are significantly less deep tracks than the main road you guys had been taking.
Okay.
You don't see Eldekin anymore at this point.
Does it look like never mind, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll do so now you go from your like half trot. Now this is into a full gallop.
This trail is pretty easy to maintain.
Yeah, I mean it's the field of the dead, or the dead fields. I can't remember which exactly it's called. The hills are very gradual up and rolling, very very Ozark, if you will, in terms of hills. And if you just took away all the trees and replaced them with knee-high grass, and you're running a cart through that, so it's not terrible in terms of getting through. But also at the same point in time, because this is an active wagon train, where most of the path goes, it's a very beaten down, and this is, as you move off and away, it does quickly become the grass starts springing back up more and more. But yeah, you can move at a gallop without tiring your horse out too much, if that was the concern. Or
okay, yeah. At some point, I want to be able to, dismount, kind of check on the tracks, see if there's, people tracks alongside with it, and determine the length of time that those tracks were made, how long ago.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to pull over and do that, you can literally do that at any point on this trail. We'll say you ride for about 15 minutes on it, and then you kind of like stop and get down, and you really root around in the grass, trying to like make sure that the wagon marks are still there, so your feet are there. For this, because it's specifically tracks, if you could roll a survival.
Sure, I got a +5.
Let's see what he gets on his survival, and we will determine. And I would also say that Carradine, if you want, you can roll either perception or survival, because obviously you're still doing this and you're doing your own surveys. Shit.
Okay. I rolled a natural 1.
Okay.
There's not the one that rolled that.
So about that whole just a soldier thing.
Hey, Yeah, these things happen. So, Fowler, it's almost like you don't even want to look. You're just getting frustrated because you're like, there's only so much kindness that you can do in duty. And at this point in time, it just seems like this just seems needless. And while you don't wish any harm upon this gnome or his beast, you're just very aware of the situation. And that kind of thought process, you're kind of doing more of a glance than a real search. You're going through the motions here.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't really I wanted to stay with the rest of the group anyway.
Yeah,
in character. So yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I'm trying to pay attention. Carradine, you get down and you're running around and you do see the tracks, and you actually are able to find what does look like smaller little hoof prints. And it does look like it does continue westwardly. And but it doesn't look like it's slowed down or anything. It just looks like it just kept going. You are only 15 minutes away from the main trail. But you imagine that that whoever this was most likely was your little gnome friend, and that he has most likely pushed on through this.
I agree, and I think we should move as absolutely fast as we can to keep the trail.
Okay. Yeah, so you're going to get there. You're going to really book it. Push the animal. For pushing the animal, we're going to do one animal handling check. And then I'm still going to allow the Fowler, I'm still going to allow you to do your own perception or survival, whichever you choose. Still a disadvantage. And because we're pushing, I'm going to make Carradine. You can use a strength, athletics, or acrobatics roll, whichever you choose, to hold on, because the horse is going to lurch forward and go. So it's keeping yourself in the saddle. But once you've held on, then you can still make your normal rolls. Yeah. You hold on to the elf in front of you. You kind of you really grip around, and you find his sword belt, and you really hold on to that. So you got the other hand, which is still able to look and cover your eyes as you look around.
I rolled a natural 20, so I'm either one end of the spectrum or the other for animal handling. So apparently we're able to push him a little.
Oh yeah. Your horse has been bored and has been trotting, and now you let it open up, and it's just yes.
And then for my perception, that would be a 17.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I rolled 2 12s, so disadvantage doesn't really matter.
You needed no, we're rolling this number. And how does Carradine do? You roll it. Okay. Fowler, you actually do spot something kind of in a little more of a northern, so you're heading not due west, but a far more western route, and then kind of off to the north over near a crest of the hill. You see this really odd lump that just looks very out of place. But you really only have to vary your current path by like 3 degrees in order to make it over to that lump, and like that lump is like 200 meters off. So you're Legolas, your elf eyes see. So that was the thing. You were going too slow. you needed to pick it up.
So I definitely want to stop short. Like as soon as I notice this, we want to slow down and see if we can evaluate the situation a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you slow down. Assuming you pointed out to Carradine. Carradine, you see it too. You're from this distance away. You're not quite able to make it out. You're gonna have to get a little bit closer. Which I mean, like I said, it's only 200 meters. You can easily close that distance in a minute or two, and still be a safe span away. So I guess just confirming, you guys do head towards it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
With caution.
With caution, and as you start to get closer, you start to see that it is a more tightly packed mound of those mushrooms, like a large cloud spore must have settled here during the storm. And it gets to the point now to where your horse can barely take a step without stepping on a mushroom, and the ground starts to shriek underneath you. There's a brief moment where your horse actually does start to rear up a little bit, but your previous animal handling check carries over, and you're able to stay this animal. It knows you, it trusts you. You're letting it's like, it's just mushrooms, dude. Yeah, so I'd say you're probably about 15-20 meters away from this, and it really just does look like it is a decent sized mound, because like you said, you were able to see a good distance away. You don't see a cart or anything like that. It's just the mound of mushrooms.
I look at Carradine and ask how much he wants to get involved. Well, I'm also going to stay my horse there. Like, I'm going to give him a command to stay put at that location. I don't want him getting any closer.
Okay.
Sure, and I will have my bow ready as, an overwatch for you in case something's not what it seems here.
All right. It's and while you're keeping the seriousness of the scene, it is a little comical to see, because like while you're taking these large bounds, every time your foot lands, it's but you close the distance, and it is like only like 3-4 bounds, and you're there. Do you start to how do you inspect the mound? You just stare at it? Do you poke it with your spear? Do you get down and dirty with your hands? Like, okay. Yeah. No, you could freeze up to like, I think it's like it's up to like so many cubic feet. Like it's like 5 or 10 cubic feet. So yeah, so you give it a little thrust to the ground, and it passes through the first few inches, and as it does, the mushrooms start that first wail, and then as they freeze, the shriek turns into more of a shrill and then a hiss. But again, as you get through those first, like there's your first like initial like push through, which is almost nothing, and then you quickly feel it make contact with something solid underneath. Okay. And so as you like start to like kick and stomp around the ground, obviously there's more shrieking from the mushrooms. The ones you froze quickly break and crack due to their brittleness, and you see some very matted gray-brown fur underneath there. You start to kick a little bit more. You find a tiny hoof. As you do, you slowly uncover the body of the mule. Just the mule. You can see where it's. It must have, careful, like looking over it. It looks like it must have gotten fatigued over the night, and while it was lying down, passed out, mushrooms covered it, and you see mushrooms spores up in its nasal cavity and in its mouth. Yeah. It doesn't take a whole lot. Yeah, so it doesn't take a whole lot to see that this thing has suffocated. All right. Do you? So, and Fowler, you see him like, so he starts. You see him like stab, get kind of like a questioning posture, start to cut and dig. You kind of take a step back with a breath, and even from where you are, because you're not terribly far off from him, you do see the form of the donkey come out from underneath all the mushrooms. Karen has a small head shake as you see him then start to circle the body, examining the ground, which is mostly covered by mushrooms. So you do need to dig up. And I say dig, it's air quote. I mean, like it really is a matter of like you sweep with your foot. The downside to this, and you know this from being, and Fowler, you specifically know this from being a tracker, but you're also well aware of this too, Carradine. You may be sweeping away tracks as you do this. So you kind of have to be very careful as you go through. So it's a very slow process.
Yeah, so as I see him start to move in this spiral fashion, I'm gonna head like a little bit farther around, maybe where the mushrooms aren't as dense from their kill per se, and see if I can spot the pickup of what should be a trail somewhere around that area of where the gnome may have gone.
Okay, and with this being a walk, regular roll, no disadvantage.
Oh, a 2. So, man, I can't spot crap today. That's a 7.
Yeah, you're already convinced this gnome is dead. You had your very deep suspicions, but there's no. I mean, like if it killed the animal, even if the animal was exhausted from the storm, that little guy's got no chance. And his cart's gone. So this means, so you start to think like, what do you do? Unhitch and start carrying his cart himself? And then you start thinking like, oh, well, there were those end caps. Maybe they carried his cart off for him, with him. Like the little cynical voice in the back of your head starts to make a lot of sense. Carradine, if you want to make a perception survival, I'm also going to put disadvantage on this just because of the mushrooms having it's like trying to find tracks underneath a layer of snow. Well, fuck me. Yeah, no, that works. You actually are able to gingerly move enough of the mushrooms out of the way to where you are able to see where it very clearly where the gnome had cut away from the donkey and just it's Rorschach, the rickshaw where he rickshawed his little cart. Yeah, still heading in more of a north fashion.
Now I want to find him because I want to see this site.
Okay. Another thing you see is further off on to the east. You do see another rider with that high of a perception, just in general. You're not quite able to make out who it is, but you can make your own inferences. But yeah, so you start heading off towards the north. Let's do one more survival check, and this is where you guys start to become aware of like this is also about the time we need to start heading back. But you're also, in a way, kind of heading back because you guys were heading northern, eastern direction. At the very least, now you're heading back north.
So this is the roll where I'm on disadvantage for being on the horse.
Yeah, for being on the horse and driving and actively trying to keep up.
Okay. I did a little bit better this time. 14.
Okay, 14.
Look, rolling.
Yeah. You hit a steady gallop for about 15, 20 minutes. And this is when it's less that you see the cart and more that you see a pair of wheels sticking up out of some mushrooms. And even okay. No response. Roll me a quick perception, either or both. I was actually going to say even just your passive, you clear this. Both your passive clear this. Yeah. So I'm just going to go off with your passives here. You're both able to see those wheels while are still standing and about cart distance apart. The cart is missing between the two of them, and they are clearly broken.
I mean, this is a gnome, so there's no freaking telling. He may have built a hovercraft last night, you know.
For that, I will need perception or investigation check because now you have to move screaming mushrooms out of the way, which are getting really annoying now.
I helped not at all.
There are drag marks. There is also blood, and there are larger footprints.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Falar, as frivolous as he thought this was in the first place, after seeing the blood and whatnot, I'm sure this gnome is no more.
Okay. All right. And it's not too much for you guys to make your way back to the way station or even try to calculate a point in which you guys can hit the road and catch up with them. So I guess my quick question, because she's waiting on her guard to return, and her guard was also getting the same amount of time, Miss Lewell said she was going to wait at the way station. So my question then to Cespedes and Zelina, did you guys stick with the front of the group, or did you guys wait at the way station?
I would suspect Cespedes would probably wait.
Okay. Zell would have been all for keeping going with the rest of them because she thought that was the plan where these guys were just going to catch up, but she's also not going to argue too hard about it.
Okay. So then Fowler, Carradine, you guys know your party's still at the way station with about half the group. And like I said, with the second half of the group, the second half of the number of carts, it is slightly fewer people, but they also travel lighter. so it still won't be terrible for you all to catch up. But anyways, while you guys are waiting, still fair is fair. You have 4.5 hours. What would you guys like to do during that time?
I don't suppose the group of dwarves I was learning to play cards with stayed behind, did they? It wasn't the dwarves, it was the mercenaries. I think they pushed on.
Yeah, they pushed on. There are plenty of other people there who, would be willing to bust out cards if you'd want to play with them.
Yeah, just as sort of something to kill the time.
Okay. Yeah. So like previously you'd been learning, Dragon's Poker. The dwarves, in order to, they show you a new game, very similar to that of what we in the mundane realm call spades. So if you want to roll your check to see if you're able to again pick up more on how cards work.
Do we remember what this check is?
Intelligence to learn a game, because effectively you're learning a tool.
Right. That's what it was. Yeah.
Right, and the way that now it's since we've played, they've come out with a whole new set of rules on how to learn tools and shit.
Of course.
Which is literally just you spend time and money. I
like this better.
Yeah, we're opting to do a check instead of money. You're still spending time. So yeah, I would say, but even then, still with spades, it's that whole, it's that trying to like silently communicate with your partner what to do because you can't tell them what's in your hand. So yeah, I will go with either intelligence for trying to figure out strategies, or I will go with wisdom for like insight, picking up people's body language. Because you're not bluffing.
I'm very bad at it. I got either a 4 or a 5 if we're going off intelligence or wisdom.
Okay.
So
if you got insight, I'll let you roll that as well. Instead, nope. Okay, cool. We'll go with your 5.
Nope.
Yeah. And you hate spades.
I really do. To be fair, Mary also hates spades, so this is okay.
This is okay. Okay. Yeah, you hate it
for hearts.
Because part of what because it's a very quiet, stoic game by comparison to poker, which has all that trash talking that goes involved with it.
So much strategy. It's just all. I hate it. It's predicting, and I'm bad at that.
Right. It's predicting and not just reading your opponent, but reading your teammate. And everyone who's ever played spades knows if you got a shitty teammate, then, and also because the dwarf who's on your team wants to win. So he's really playing by the rules and not really telling you what he's doing, which really makes learning this game even more difficult.
Yes. So yeah, no, that didn't go well.
Okay. Yeah, as I recall, spades takes a while too. So I'll call a learning game of spades 2 hours.
Yeah.
You play if you had several. You play several hands trying to learn, and then finally you just go, no. You gave it the honest try.
Yeah.
Go
after that. No, if you want to, whatever you're doing during that time, because.
Yeah. So, Suspicious, you have 4 hours. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna go into the way station and look around the room that the Red Wizard was in, because we could never get in there. I'm gonna see if they left anything behind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, when you go into it, there was no lock on it to begin with. What stopped you were a set of guards, and just general understanding that forcing my way in here is probably not the best. But now that it's empty, yeah, you're able to go in there. Inside the room, there is a couple of cots. Like, it looks like, oh, this is supposed to be the actual sleeping quarters of this place. And the Red Wizard had just taken all of it. You do find...
I knew that guy was a jerk.
Yeah, this really solidifies that he's a dick. Like, some easy things you're able to find. You find some candles that he'd obviously used from the night before that do clearly go here. There's like a whole box of them. There's a few tinder boxes as well. It kind of looks like this is, and there's like blankets and some straw pillows. So not super comfortable, but way comfortable than the ground and the benches. And probably enough for like, there's probably enough space in here for about 10 people to sleep comfortably. Just on cots with pillows and blankets and all of that.
Nothing else.
That's just on the surface. If you want to do a deeper investigation,
yeah, I'll take one.
Roll,
one investigation.
Yeah, I will accept either investigation or perception for this.
5. So, just gonna walk out and let Zell know that what I found out, that the Red Wizard's a dick.
That is actually very aggravating, and not unexpected. And apparently, we stayed behind for a very good reason. That is, our dice aren't liking us today.
Yeah.
I guess for the rest of the time, she'd probably just like be bored and pull out a pan flute and just randomly start playing just to kill time while we're just waiting here.
Okay. As you start playing, a couple other people, also pull out various instruments and go, oh yeah, fuck it. Because like, yeah, the drums of the drum circle left, but there's the elf merchant. She has a little fiddle that she plays, or I guess technically be a violin. Do you hold it to the side or to the front? But yeah, no, she kind of fiddles a little bit. One of the human guards pulls out a small little harp. So it's a nice little little mosh pause. Just everyone just kind of vibes with it. So while you are vibing, what does Cespedes want to do?
Talk to the elf, Elder Lul, the elf.
Okay.
And just see what she's selling for now.
So you come up to her and she's she saw the people getting around together, and she went and she got out her little violin. She was starting to tune it, make sure it sounded right. And as you come up, you start talking with her. You ask her what she's trying to sell, and she goes oh my god, I sell all kinds of little exotic goods and imports. My older brother runs a curio shop in Waterdeep, and I just picked up some items that I think he'd be able to sell really well down in Baldur's Gate. And she goes over and she pulls out this little statue of a laughing monkey. It's made out of clay, and it's got two little black rocks like set inside of its ears, kind of giving it a really big satellite dish. And she holds it up like, look at this interesting little piece of art.
Yeah. Interesting.
She goes, and what's really great is, and she shakes it, and you hear something rattle inside of it. She goes, there's a prize inside.
Is it for children?
Of all ages.
Hmm.
I'm not
how much?
salesman that my brother is. It's 50 gold, and it's yours, as well as whatever's inside.
That's way too steep
It is
for a child's toy.
She goes,
I'd give
well,
it 5.
Roll a persuasion, because this is haggling. It actually is like a really well put together statue of a monkey. I will say that. It's not like
21.
What's up?
21.
21. Okay. She goes, I can't do 5. I paid 15 for it. I can do 20. That way I can tell my brother at least I made a profit.
Sorry. I'm broke.
Well, if she puts the monkey down, like back over by her cart and picks her food up, and goes, well, listening to music is free. And she starts just playing along with what everybody else is doing.
I'll leave it at that.
So however long people want to play music and enjoy that, the first one to come back is, because I haven't rolled a dice yet. Okay, cool. Eldkin, the dwarf, is the first one to come back, and she hitches up her horse and she sits down, kind of like runs a big hand over her head, goes over by the water, takes a big drink, and she goes, I wasn't able to find the wee gnome. Your friends, I kept with them as best I could, but at some point they must have found something, because they really took off and my wee pony just couldn't keep up. So I continued my search for as best I could for myself, and then I came back.
Well, it sounds like it's either way, it's a good thing. If they found something, they'll either be back sooner because they found what they're looking for, or be back sooner because they found what they weren't looking for.
Hopefully the farmer. And she takes a big pull of water, just catching her breath, before shrugging off pieces of armor just to, let the ride come off of her. And yeah, about 15, 20 minutes later, Falar, Carradine, you guys pull in. You do see Eldkin's pony is already tied up outside, still drinking from the trough.
I guess we just come in and give a report that we found evidence that the gnome met a nasty ending. I mean, as long as Carradin's cool with that, I imagine we probably discussed this on our way back.
Eldkin. Ms. Lowell, you know, her face kind of drops. Did anyone know him? Well, thank you for looking. Thank you for doing the right thing. It's so rare that we find people who are willing to do the right thing for strangers. I guess we should hit the road and see if we can't catch up to everyone else.
Wonderful.
And with that,
Let's
everybody
do
else, the lawyer, everybody else starts moving towards their carts.
Up in shotgun.
You'll be riding shotgun. Okay. Yeah, so normally Asbaraz little guard, his guards force them to be in the front. So who wants to lead this? You guys had kind of been in the middle before.
I mean,
Everyone,
I'm perfect.
sorry.
Sorry.
All the carts kind of take that point of like the drivers are looking around like, who goes first?
I mean, I would be perfectly happy to pull out front just because, you know, I'm not terrible at trail finding, and also we should be able to follow the road. And I'm more than ready to be on the way.
All right. Yeah, so Zelina just kind of like and real quick, as soon as you pull out, everyone else just files right on in. And yeah, I'll say for this, because you guys are trying to catch up, roll me an animal handling just to kind of like push your horses, because they are pulling the wagon.
14.
21.
Okay. Yeah, the Falar and his horse, you actually end up taking a little bit more of a lead, which is kind of what the front guard horse would do, so it makes sense. But yeah, you're able to get an extra ounce, but also Zelina, you're able to get an extra ounce of speed out of your horses, who are also very well rested and ready to go. But also to a point where everyone else behind you is also able to push and keep. Give me one more, and I will say anyone who's watching the road, give me perception or survival. If you're driving or riding, if you're driving a horse, at disadvantage.
Okay.
And this is just to stick on the trail as you guys are moving quicker.
22 with disadvantage.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, my driving, my animal handling was 11, but my perception to stay on the road was 23. Either way, I rolled it because I rolled 2 18s.
Okay. Okay. And Falar, what was your animal handle to keep pushing?
21, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys are able to maintain that push. The horses are starting to breathe a little heavy and buck their heads, but you're able to keep that moving forward. And you're both also able to solidly stay on track. The carts just because like the sheer number of people that went out in front of you, and it only being only 4 hours ago, by all relative speaking, the tracks are fresh, especially with the storm from the previous night. So it's not a hard trail to follow. And no one's horse seems to slip. And it is roughly nightfall, where you do see off in the distance, up on top of one of the hills, some campfires starting to burn. About 30 minutes after you see them, you have rejoined with the rest of the group, who's already made a very tight wagon train circle. And it's Atriny, the fur trader, who looks and goes, "Oh, you made it." And just goes, and that seems to be like the only greeting you guys get from anybody here.
Pull in, take care of the horses.
So much love in this caravan.
Make somebody move their stuff so we can get into the circle of wagons.
Roll a persuasion to see if anybody will move for you. It's not like they're. I'll say this: it's not like they're icing you out, but also at the same point in time, it's like, dude, we're already sitting down. I'm eating.
Yeah, I only rolled a 6.
Okay. The little go-between guy, is like, oh, God, what the fuck was his voice? No, we'll go with this one. Yeah, just build another one just around the outside. Just double ring it. You got your ring, we got ours. Like personalities together. It's all good. A little segregation never hurt anyone.
What was really good is that I was fine with creating our own circle. Like, I literally didn't care, and then he said that, and now I hate him. And also, I care a little.
What was so great was
I looked at everyone's individual cameras and faces, and I was like, "Yes, those are the reactions I wanted." Yeah, this is the mouth.
There's going to be some chaos that happens to him, I think.
All right.
War.
Okay. Ildkin does actually, like, when you guys build your main bonfire that everyone kind of is going to end up being around, she actually does go over into their circle, ignite like a starter log, brings it over and uses it to start. And as she walks back past the mouth, she goes, "Thank you for your contribution." Yeah. And with that, yeah, everyone sets up. How do you guys want to break up your watches? I know that 3 of you only need 2 hours of silent meditation.
4. I think the way we've been doing it is that somebody takes first watch, somebody takes second watch, somebody takes a middle, and you have a little bit of overlap. And Seth just gets to sleep.
Yeah, I believe that was about right.
Yeah.
I'll do last watch. We were out busy today.
I'm bored, so I'll take first.
Okay.
I sleep.
Yeah. So something like it was like a 4-hour watch, and then 2 hours into the 4-hour, the second watch, and then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because we need 4 hours of meditation, but that's it.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. It's a pretty quiet night. I guess as quiet as 20, 30 people camping can be. But sure enough, Falar, you see about an hour before sunrise. That's when Azabar's group starts getting up and packing up their camp and getting everything ready. And they finish up everything they're putting together probably 30 minutes after sunrise. Everyone else rises with the sun and starts breaking their camp down. And while everyone's doing this, Arzabar's as Bara's lead guard gets up on his horse and throws his shoulder back, head high, and clears his throat. Just so that everyone is aware, there are no more way houses between here and Boriske's bridge. On the bright side, it's only 2 more days travel, and then we should be there. On about dusk of the second day. We will be heading out in 1 hour. Hip hip. And he starts to just weird circle patrol. You guys have become you guys had kind of become accustomed to this, but accustomed in the same way of you're also waiting for this splinter to get out. He seems to almost hold his head higher so that he can look down on you from his high horse.
We can come around. I'm going to jump up on top of my wagon so I can look down on him.
You know what? Shits and grins. Roll me a either an athletics or an acrobatics.
24.
24. You 1, 2, just hand, just up and on top, and you just cross your arms and just stare down at him. And when you do this, he's actually taken back by a minute, and you see his horse start to waver a little bit, and just but for the most part, they do keep on. You did solidly rattle him for the briefest of
Give him the
moments.
smile after I notice I rattle him. I'm just going to give him the little smirk smile.
Which, coming from your dragon visage, is just so creepy. Because you don't have lips.
I envision it almost like a Dr. Seuss cartoon kind of smirk.
Mr.
It just kind of what? Yeah. The wavy snarl.
All right. Okay. All right. So, but yeah, sure enough, an hour on the dot, the guard that had been riding with a loaded that had been riding shotgun with a heavy crossbow, he sits in his spot. The driver gets on, and they don't even look back. Head Knight gets on, and they start off, and then everyone seems to just kind of start to fall in line and just get going. There seems to be a definite need from we'll call it Group A, the ones that left before you guys while you guys were searching. They seem to be very keen on keeping all of this moving forward with that same efficiency. I do hesitate to use terms like emotionless or callous, but it is very much no one wants to be on the road longer than they absolutely have to, especially given now that there were murmurs. It's like, yeah, that gnome that got lost, turns out the mushrooms ended up taking, like the mushroom, they tell stories about, like, yeah, the mushrooms took the donkey and then something, dragged him off in his cart. And in addition to the actual split in the groups, now there's the news that like the gnome actually died seems to really build on the tension that's been building throughout this whole time as you guys have been going. So let's see here. Let's roll Zell, roll me a d20.
10.
10. All right. First half of your day, you guys goes very smoothly. It's a little bit chilly, mostly just because of the storm that was that just now is hitting just over 36 hours ago. There's still a little bit of a chill in the air from it. And you kind of get to the point where it'd be time where it would be like, oh, let's pull over and have lunch. But you notice that, again, the front of the caravan, which the first 3 carts being the Red Wizard and then the 2 from the Tanner, they're not even hinting at slowing down. They're not sprinting by any means. They're still traveling at your regular Oregon Trail travel speed, but they're not breaking. They don't appear to be having any notion of breaking for lunch.
I'm happy to keep up with them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me too.
Yeah. Everyone just pulls out a trail ration, snacks on it while they're driving.
Which people are eating bear?
Oh, that's right. There was
You were eating bear, but the last of the bear was used in a stew.
Yeah, that's right.
So you are finally on your trail rations. Yeah. Which is very interesting because, typically speaking, in undead lands, there's that magic that permeates through them that just kills like all the flora. The grass is almost lush here. And we're not going to call it, the rolling, fields of wheat, but it's still pretty lush. But even then, that being said, there's like almost no birds, and definitely like no real game. So it's almost like a beautiful death. Still death, but this is passing in your sleep at an old age versus taking a sword to a chest, which is ironic because most of these mounds are filled with people who took a sword to the chest. All right.
Yeah, I think everyone is kind of eager to get the caravan to our destination at this point. There's been enough calamity along this path.
Yeah, everyone needs a real bar.
Oh, yes.
All right. So just keeping moving through the circle. Cespedes, roll me a d20 for the second half of the day.
A 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
Why would you roll that?
I roll low numbers all the time. What are you talking about?
Nothing happens. You guys are able to hit a crest of a hill, and you look very far off, really straining your eyes. And you can see what looks like just the shadow outline of a fort very far off. And you know that fort to be Bjorskir. Skier. I will pronounce this correctly. I've got the phonetics on my screen. Borskier Bridge, which does have a fort and a small trading pop-up village around it. So, and it is a sizable structure, which is why even a day out, you can just see it out there on the horizon. And much of the camp seems to have this, this leg of the trip, the end is in sight. Okay. Big sigh of relief. That being said, because everybody was here, you're back to that bigger circle. The fire seems a little bit warmer. The music seems a little bit peppier. Everyone seems to just almost kind of like at the beginning when everyone was like fresh off the road. You kind of get that feeling coming back into this evening with that literal end in sight. And what would people like to do?
So I think I'm going to continue to try to devise a way to figure out who these cultists are, since we're nearing the end of our journey and the opportunity to figure that out might be coming to an end.
Okay.
That was my hang on.
Yeah,
That was my question. This is just the trail split, right? This is in theory where the people who we wouldn't have any interest in would be breaking off, and the people who we would be following would keep going.
Yes, this is the first leg of the trip. You are well aware that there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are about 6 legs in this trip. And from going from Baldur's Gate across the Fields of the Dead to Borskir Bridge is leg 1. And at that point in time, this is where you meet up again with more of the physical tradeway. Some people will move, and it's in addition to being a bridge that does cross the winding water river. It's also a trading hub. So some people are actually coming up to their pop-up shop to set up and do whatever they can here. Some people purely run fields of the dead lengths. So some people will leave, some people will join, some people will continue. So yeah, this is leg 1.
And
correct. There could be, and yes, that is absolutely a possibility. More cultists could join. You're either going to maintain or increase your number of cultists.
so sorry, go ahead.
I just said in some way, but yeah. So you had a question.
So our goal here, our mission is to try to find these cultists along this first leg. Like, do we have an objective time frame here to make sure that we do our part before they reach a certain destination?
Yes, that destination is at the end of the road, which is in the frozen north past Waterdeep.
Okay,
that's the overall ending for this module.
Is that all 6 legs then?
That is all 6 legs.
Okay.
So without getting too meta, you guys do have a lot of time. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like this whole thing is supposed to take the whole trip that you guys had planned out is going to take months of travel. Not like a full year, but you're going to go through a season or two. Right. That would narrow down. But there are also people who will join. So, also, you can't discredit the fact that several cities that you guys would be stopping at, it's possible there could be handoffs even. So the main thing is if you can identify, so it's like your goals here are identify the cultists and stop the treasure hoard from getting to the frozen north, because the treasure hoard is an offering to Tiamat, but it is also how they are financing their campaign. All right, 920. Okay. So we're back to just coming back into here. Fowler, you want to try to devise another way where you could figure out who's who? How do you want to do that?
So we've already searched as much as we could in the carts without being invasive. So I think that a different strategy is in order. So maybe let's get everyone drunk and see if somebody can spill some kind of beans. That's my goal here.
Okay. All right. Who do you want to get drunk? Just coming off of notable characters, there's oh wait, he's dead. Gotta take him off.
Well, my goal would be, whoever in the Red Mage's party. I know they kind of keep segregated, but anyone from that party along with other people, so I don't seem too conspicuous. I don't want to like pull someone out, and just be a one-on-one thing. I just want to have like a little party and pay attention to people from that group. They seem to know what's going on with most of the people here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, she's part of Ms. Lul's group, serving directly under Eldikin. Yeah, and she was that bright-eyed, bushy-tail female human guard. She's got her, shiny new leather and spear, and she's like, I'm an adventurer.
Yeah, maybe somebody can break out some of their malt wine or something like that, and something.
Okay. So just kind of going over people. You have Archery. Not going to attempt that last name. He's the guy that's got two wagons. One of them is being driven by the pole. He is a merchant, but he trades in tanned leathers and hides, and it's all of his. Every time you see him pull something off of a wagon, it's like a giant pelt of some kind that he seems to like wrap around himself for warmth. Then Yeah, that'd be Azabora. Okay. Number 2 and 3. Okay. Yeah. So Asbara is a man, the Red Wizard, and Captain Asshole has not given you his name. None of them have. No member of that group has given you a name aside from my lord, from the captain saying, "My lord as Asbara Jas." That is all. You only know his name because the captain says it, or the soldier says his name. No. Cart 2. So so cart so carriage 1 altogether 5. You have the captain, shotgun, Asbara, the driver, and the boy. Um, kind of like I guess like a squire would be a kind of like a good way of describing him. A stable boy. This is the guy this is the kid that takes care of the horses. Yeah. And also the other thing is you guys have only seen Asbara like in passing. He's very quick to like physically separate, like he doesn't come out of his carriage until his privacy screen for camping is up and he's in there in the tent. They're always, whenever they see the way station, they spur their horses on to get there quicker to get the private room. So they have been very
secretive,
very secretive, very keeping away. But that's also because whenever there's like they've been very open. It's like, well, he's too noble to be among lesser races, is what they've openly stated. Yep. Oh, okay. Okay. So this is where some confusion might have come in. The Red Wizard only has the carriage. He doesn't have a card. Yeah, they've got something like that. That would just be like a cart that's attached to the carriage. And it's real small. Okay. Yeah. So the second cart, numbers 2 and 3 are together because it was Pole's crew. They were the dice players. And yeah, in the second cart, that's the tanner who owns both of the carts, and he basically goes the wizard, the tanner's second cart that's driven by the pole. Sorry. Yeah, that's Archony Yulton. ACHRNY ULYE ULYE LTIN. 2 words. So Archnie space Yuleton. And he's the one who said he owes you a favor for getting his stuff out. So there's him. There's some of the guards. Mostly, he has part of the reason why they move so slow is because he makes his guards walk. He's got 4 that walk around his cart, and the second cart has the pole driving, mouthpiece sitting next to him, and then 5 more guards. Yeah. And then you guys were effectively in the line as cart 4, but the 4th other cart, which would have been right behind you, that would be the lawyer's cart, which is again a very small. It's a very small cart, single horse drawn. It's just him there. Yes, that are walking. Yeah. Yeah. The pole is driving with mouthpiece sitting next to him.
Mouthpiece.
And then 5 other guards are walking. Well, so remember, 4 is actually 3, and 2 and 3 are together. Yep. He's one of the guards. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So like where you so yeah. So you guys make 8, but like you guys were taking the number 4 slot because you guys wanted to be in the middle. So yeah. He follows you guys. And it's just him. Where did I put him? Yeah, here he is. That's Aldor Ernpolhurst. Nah, he's solo. It's a 1-man rickety cart. He's got a tarp tied pulled over it, and you don't really see anything poking up through it. You may have decided to. So Orvustia, she's a guard, and she's a guard of that one, but the of cart number 5, but the cart is actually owned by Ildhuri or Eilhuri, the elf merchant that asked you guys to wait. EDHELRI. And then last name Lewell. Lewel. With her is Edkin, who's a seasoned dwarf guard, Orvustia, who is a rookie guard, and then 2 other guards, another dwarf and another human. Yeah, another dwarf male.
If you want, Kirk, since you're taking all these notes, we can talk later, and I'll make like a Excel spreadsheet or something and screen share it up when people want it, just for info.
Male.
And
then
we're
behind
down
them,
a cart because of the gnome and
well, no, that would be the gnome would have been the 7th cart. The 6th cart, which is the last cart, is Oin Evanmore, male human merchant of exotic animals. And he has 3 half-elf guards. One rides a pony. The other 2, one walks / rides in the back, and the other one sits up and rides with him in the front of the cart. Yeah, they're all half-elves. 2 male, 1 female. The female has a hooked nose. Yeah. Okay. And the gnome that passed was just for keeping everything capable was Radicreer Pertham. He also was constantly around the gambling. He didn't have nearly as bad luck as the other gnome did, but he was also part of that. He took part in it.
yeah, like I said, we can talk about that later, and I'll we can screen share here, which I want to try out here in a few minutes because D&D Beyond has some cool new features. Anyway, we can put something up if people want to see names and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Literally as we were getting started, I'm like, oh fuck, that's right, all the NPCs. At one point in time, I had all of this stuff written down and organized. Yep, we can see your screen. If I click on you, if I click on you, you get big.
Yeah, after the
That would
split,
be
it's
Zell's vote.
easier.
Yeah, it's really hard to try to determine, more from these people than what we already have. Everyone's super
Yeah.
tight-lipped.
Just figure out what their destinations are, and yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you got right now. I'd say your strongest ins are with the elf merchant, the lawyer, because he was one of the lost guys that you helped. And then the tanner, because you also helped unstick his cart. The cover had blown over, and what you had seen in there were mostly crates of scrolls and books.
Didn't he also have some scrolls on his person?
Yeah, he did. He's got a bag. He's got both a backpack and like a satchel, and it's just stuffed with documents. He's almost like a little walking library.
So we may not have known this until now, but organizing this data is probably going to be key here, because we're almost going to have to play a game of Clue.
Yes, this entire module is Clue the road trip.
Now, I know we're going to go meta here for a second, and if you want to delete this, edit this stuff out, but is that not the direction we want to go? Like the homebrew that you're wanting to deal with steps away from that?
Yeah, it's going to step away from that just because it gets very boring very quickly, and it's also very much one of those, there's no real reason you guys can't figure this out well before Waterdeep.
Well, so I agree with you very much that, the games where you're traveling along a roadway and trying to figure out information can be fairly mundane and not super adventurous. So I'm going to just throw this out there that if you have content and we wanted, like, since it's been a year since we dealt with all the stuff we've dealt with in the past, if you want to kind of start fresh with stuff and halt where we are, I'd vote for that. I would be behind you in that. But if you guys wanted to continue with this, that's fine. If we want to start fresh, I'm cool with keeping my own character.
Yeah. So what we were going to do, and was we were going to try to wrap up the road trip in a nicer way, and then people can and then continue with those characters now as like a actual adventuring party over into something else. So yes, I have content for you guys to dig from and do stuff. I have an actual adventure for you guys to go on. But for the podcast's narrative sake, we're taking a session 2, maybe 3, to make that transition.
Okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
And if you decide that Falar is done, then Falar can be done. You can make somebody else. But if you like him, you want to keep with him, absolutely. There are some newer ranger options, class substitutes, and there's some for everybody. So if people want to retool characters, you're more than welcome to. I would say have the retoolings done before homebrew starts. All right. Scene.
I was holding up the swan at the beginning, at the end.
Is that a swan? It looks like a duck, but that's fine.
Waterfowl.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Waterfowl bottle opener.
Okay. Actual scene now. Okay, so Falar, you had mentioned you wanted to kind of like try to figure out, again, start that process of figuring out, okay, who maybe has the treasure, who maybe is a cultist. As you said, and you were wondering who your inns were. They were with the tanner, the elven exotic goods merchant, and
The lawyer.
the lawyer.
I think.
And you guys, you're right. You did get a pretty good look at the lawyers. Granted, it was raining and thunderstorming, and he was absolutely both trying to get his cart up and going, but also keep everything covered. But yeah, decent look. And yeah, in the back of his cart appeared to be more books and scrolls, but still tightly packed.
Okay, so in that case, I am going to go and talk with Carradine, because I can tell that Carradine has been devising, he's been scheming on how to gather information, and I'm going to let him kind of lead me in who I should target.
Yeah, if they're not planning on staying with us, we can stop. Yeah. Refocus our attention, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For basically, it's going to be a persuasion check for each of them to join you for dinner, as well as ask if they've got anything to contribute to the meal. We'll RP out each little interaction, but ultimately each one's going to require a persuasion check. So who do you want to start with?
I have a 6.
I'm awful. -2.
I had the worst too.
Yeah, also you've probably been paying more attention to who's who than I have, because that's my brain just doesn't care. In character. But yeah, I can do the, trying to do the persuasions and the talking and the setting things up if you're there to point me into who I'm talking to. We definitely did it once already. I don't remember who cooked or what role that was.
Yeah, I call cooking survival. To me, knowing how to identify what you can and can't eat, and that's a survival thing. You eat to survive. So I always throw it under that.
Okay. And I have a 5, so
Okay. It is by far the largest group. The Tanner is among them, and for the most part, their fire has always been the big fire because they've got the most people and need to cover the most people, need to cover the larger space. But also, the pole can literally throw a tree onto the fire. So.
And also just sort of as a celebration as to we're so close. The end is in. There's a landmark. I feel like that's something to celebrate. And also we'll be able to resupply when we get there.
Okay. Roll, whichever one of you is rolling the persuasion, roll it.
I think that would be me, right?
Yeah, we'll go with assistance. So we'll go with advantage. This is active assistance.
Okay. Persuasion is a 17.
Mary, your sound cut out a little bit from you there. 17 total?
17, yes.
Okay, cool. So tell him that, and he kind of nods. And he's kind of like, he also kind of like has, you see like in his hand, he's got like some very stiff jerky. And he's kind of like, well, what do you got? Well, I mean, to make soup, you got to have a liquid, and it sounds like you've got that covered.
Yeah, we can definitely have a base stock.
He goes back into his pouch. He pulls out and goes, I got a lot of dried meat. We can try to rehydrate it with what you guys have, but that's what I got.
It'll be better in the stew than as it is.
Yeah, I'm really good at making leather. As he starts to like he kind of like cracks a little bit as he bends it, and then he takes a bite.
With the right spices, almost anything can be significantly better, if not good.
He kind of gives himself a little bit of a chuckle. He goes, "Yeah, do I need to bring the boys, or am I?
Everybody's invited. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll find a big pot. Just bring everybody over here. And you see him he puts two fingers into his mouth and whistles. You're like, big out the big one. And he says it just like that. You're not quite sure what those words meant, but you're like, I'm pretty sure he said bring out the big one. And like two of the guys are like stoking the fire around one small pot, and it's already starting to glow red at the bottom. And they just kind of look up at him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you had a barrel of gin. I think it was actually like a half barrel, but still it was like a barrel of gin.
Like a pony keg, but it was a barrel. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are not hurting on alcohol yet. Even with as liberal as you've been drinking it, I've actually been taking like I take a shot. You still have plenty.
Mm-hmm. This is the whole reason we have a cart, because otherwise carrying the alcohol would be.
Yeah, no, yeah, you guys can. Mostly, what I was getting at is the pot that they had already put on to cook for just themselves is already hot, and they're arguing over who has to take the pot off. It's like, you do it. Okay.
While
Okay.
you're doing that, because I'm so crappy at persuasion, I think I'm going to kind of play guard duty. Maybe take post up on top of the cart and just keep watch with the elf vision around the surrounding area.
Okay. This is true. And if that deer had not been eviscerated by some undead, you might have wanted to eat that meat.
I think Cespedes actually ate some anyway.
Yeah. He made constitution rolls about it.
Yeah.
That was a real threat. Constitution, though. Good job. All right. Speaking of which, Cespedes, what would you like to do?
I'm just gonna stay in the shotgun seat for now and observe everyone.
Okay. So, yeah, I would say between Cespedes and Falar, your cart is secured, as well as you guys both do have a pretty good vantage points of surveying the whole thing. And if anyone, and no one really pays you too much mind, because you're like, oh, because even though it's a big wagon circle, and you guys would technically be on the perimeter, there's also still people who are, taking a point of guard watch and just making sure that everybody's okay. They just kind of assume you're among that. All right, so back over here. All right, so did you want to go to the lawyer or to the elf merchant next? All right. You see him like he's got his little pot out on his like small little fire, and like the wood is red, but you couldn't really call what he's got going on a flame. And he has a stick that he has peeled the bark from, and he's using that to kind of like stir whatever's inside of it. Just roll a persuasion. Okay. As you say that, he goes, "Oh yeah, I think that'd be really nice." And he like kind of slyly kicks over his pot and puts out his fire cook. He goes, "And I mean, my dinner's ruined, so I okay." He goes, okay. Yeah, he says he's got some rice and might have a potato.
Ooh. Sounds perfect.
You have meat, you have a base, you have potato, you have booze, you have mostly stew.
We're good. This is actually a meal now.
This is a technical stew. All right.
Okay.
So the elf merchant, and she's sitting down with her guards. The dwarf male, he's actually off by the actual cart, doing kind of like a little guard post duty, but the human male and Eldakin and Orvusta, they're all sitting there, and they have what kind of like you as you get closer, you actually smell like a vegetable stew going. Eldakin is just kind of just very blasé about what's going on. I'm just kind of sitting there. But the Orvista is there, and she's actively stirring. And again, you see with the stripped bark stick, but you can also see that she's also like scored it a little bit. You know, this is somebody who knows what they're doing with cooking. Almost get the impression that maybe the lawyer had seen what was going on, but had no idea what he was actually doing.
I'm sorry. Did we have any meat with this stew?
That's the tanner had a lot of jerky that will be sufficient meat once it's been soaked in a stew long enough.
Well, so overhearing this, I decide that I'm going to let Cespedes take point on guarding and maybe go scout just beyond like the light range of what we're doing to see if I can find any kind of trails for animals around, maybe find some game to add to this feast.
Okay. Let's resolve this, and then I'll come back over to that. So you approach the elf's camp.
I just walk right up with a friendly wave and a hey.
She's kind of taken back for a second. Like, hello. Or Vista just looks up and goes, oh, hello.
Hi. So we were trying to get together, group of us, figure out we're almost there, and thought it'd be a cool idea to have a kind of a celebration of nearing the end of at least this section of this journey. Get together a bunch of people and also throw together some food resources and see if we couldn't make something delicious for everybody. And by everybody, I mean, I'm like those guys over there and those guys over there, and maybe not the racist assholes.
Okay. So when you point to the lawyer and then you point to the Tanner's group, you kind of like see Miss Lowell's face go from to. Well, I mean, we've already got our food prepared. She kind of starts there. Roll your persuasion.
Okay. I'm gonna Tides of Chaos that.
Sure, go for it.
Oh, much better. That's a 25.
Okay. And while I'm sure that what you guys would be preparing would be quite delicious, I am on, you know, my diet is mostly that of vegetables, so I will bring my soup over and I'll gladly sit and enjoy your group's company.
That also is fine. Whatever, you know, we just want to hang out and kind of have a little bit of a celebration, and also we'll bring the alcohol.
Yeah. Eldakin, when you say that, Eldakin sits and goes, got any meat?
We have some.
We're going over there. We're going over there. Mrs. Little just kind of rolls her eyes, just goes, bring the pot, put out the fire. We don't need to start a wild one.
Excellent.
They do. They pack it up. Eldakin walks over to the other male guard. There's a brief transaction over there. Come back to join. And with that, everyone kind of like gets together, and everyone still more or less sits with their group, but now they're with their group with everybody.
That's step one.
Yep. All right. So while you guys are all getting together and cooking and starting drinking, Valar. All right, you wanted to, so you went a little beyond the light of the campfire, a little bit beyond the din of people eating and milling about. And we're gonna try to see if we can find you an animal trail, maybe a rabbit, maybe a deer. Possibly. Now, there's not really any chance of getting a squirrel, maybe a quail. I don't know. So
All right.
let's roll a. Cause you gotta think. I'm just like, okay, what the fuck's in a plane? All right. So yeah, roll a survival, because that would be. This is tracking.
Okay, so probably. Hold on 1 second. Got to pull up the right thing on my character sheet. So this is a survival check?
Yes.
Oh, not super great. 9.
I was just scrolling through all your class features to see if there's anything that would help out with this, just because it's been a while. Okay, so you look over, and you're just not really seeing anything. You wonder if maybe if you kind of get the idea that maybe if you go a little bit further, like to where you're actually like in the dark, because you can still kind of hear everything and you can still see the light, and just with how much this has traveled, you'd imagine that any kind of game would not be this close to the road.
Okay. Yeah. I just don't want to get so far away where no one can hear me scream, you know.
Yeah. No, this was the, because you guys are up on the hill, and the hills are fairly large. They're just very gentle slopes. So you did go to the base of the hill, probably about 40 meters away from everybody. But you'd probably want to go around the next one before you suspect you'd actually find some real game, which would put roughly 150 meters between you and the caravan, and a giant hill in your way, so you would be out of sight.
Okay. I still feel comfortable enough that they might hear me if I yell enough.
Oh yeah. You can scream. People, if you can scream, people will easily hear you 150 feet away. It's just a matter of like in-game rounds it takes to get that far.
Gotcha. Okay. So another survival or perception?
Yeah, we'll do it over there. And you've got dark vision, so this doesn't matter.
Okay, that's a little better. That's a 13.
13. Okay. Okay. You find a hole that looks like it would be a rabbit's den. So,
okay.
How do you want to try to get the rabbit to come out of its hole? It does look recently disturbed, so it's like probably whatever was. If it's in there, it's recently gone into its burrow.
Okay, so I've got a fairly high survival check. I think I'm going to devise some scheme of a little snare that's just hand operated that I move just a little bit. I mean, I've got rope. I don't know if rope is too big for that, but something that
I'll
I
allow
can.
it.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to try to put together a snare that you can fish the rabbit out with.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, roll a survival.
Oh, nice. Finally, something good. 23.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Rolled an 18.
I don't know why it was so hard for me to find a D4. Okay. So yeah, you've done this before. This is not your first time fishing for rabbits. And because like where the trick ends up being with this is getting it to hold its shape, getting the non-noose portion of the snare to hold its shape, and you do this by applying a bunch of wax to the base of the rope, right where the noose is, and you kind of like seem to shimmy and move it on its way down until you finally feel some light pressure, and you just kind of rip. And as you do, two adult rabbits end up getting pulled out. One's got its head kind of caught up in the noose, and the other one, it's dangling by its foot, just thrashing around, mad, trying to escape.
Awesome. Yeah, so I get in there real quick to silence these little bunnies.
Yep. A flash of silver from your dagger and two small squeaks, and they're silent and not moving. And you've got fresh meat for your stew.
That's what I was looking for, so I'm going to head back to camp.
All right. Yeah, so you do that. Whole adventure, 20 minutes. So about the time it takes everyone to move, congregate, set up, they're trying to figure out a water to wine to gin ratio that still qualifies as stew stock, but also in not wanting to wait too long for his meat to become easier to eat. The tanner has already thrown like a handful of dried jerky in there. He still has this one piece. It's the same bite he's still chewing on from when you guys first talked to him. Fowler comes strolling up with two freshly killed rabbits. And he just kind of stares at you.
As
Like,
far as he goes by, I can. What do I got to do to get a leg of that before you cook it?
Considering that I got two, and I think we got plenty of meat for the stew, I'm going to go ahead and indulge our dragonkin friend here.
this is between you two.
Bump it down.
Yeah, so I take off a leg. I was in the process of skinning, but I haven't quite got that far. So this still has fur on it and everything, and I just kind of lob the leg off and toss it to you.
It's fine. And I toss it, throw it back, and continue my watch.
I shake my head in disgust at this, this barbarianism I see here.
And I mean, like, it's a rabbit leg. So for you, this is like eating half of a hot dog.
Just an appetizer. as they say.
Appetizer is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you wolf it down. It doesn't even take half of a chew to get through it, but you do have that, delightful bone crunch between your teeth that you love so much. There's a lightning in your teeth also crackles as it cooks, as it goes down your throat, and just what's even more intoxicating for you than anything is just the smell of your breath as it comes out from this. You ever ate something so good that your breath makes you hungry?
Oh yeah.
That's what's going on for him right now.
This rabbit right now.
Yeah. All right. So rabbit is now being actively added to the stew.
The exciting thing here is that gin is flavored with juniper, and juniper is one of those seasonings that is really, really good for making meat less gamey. So I'm thinking this is going to go great.
Yeah. Like no joke. Part of my whenever my family goes hunting, I actually make a gin marinade for deer steaks.
Yeah. Yep.
Like gin, red pepper flakes, and salt. And then then once you get it, you just cook it like a steak. It's so good. Anyway,
sorry, a little bit of a meta. I don't know if you guys still have your chat windows up, but we can communicate some stuff there. I had asked some question, and maybe we can throw names around on there and stuff if we want to, just so we don't interfere with the stream.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just had blown it up big. Yeah. Holy fuck, I got all kinds of people trying to get my attention that I've been ignoring. Fuck them, I'm recording. Anywho, just coming back to, so let's see here. We can share names and some other data here without. Yeah.
I say yeah, because Kirk will need to keep it up on our faces for the.
Oh, right. Right. I guess you
video.
Well, I mean, everyone still has a cell phone, so if you want to pass a note, you can just be like, post your note.
Can you log into Discord in two places at once?
Yeah, I have Discord actively up on my phone.
Okay, because I have a whole separate computer that I can pull it up on. I just wasn't sure if that would work.
Oh, yeah. Here's a cut thing. I've been up on Discord on my phone, on Kaylee's computer, and on my laptop all at the same time in different chat rooms. It really doesn't care.
Okay.
All right, so cutting back. It's my Irish skull, all right? So yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna. This is where it's gonna be like some gentle RP. I need like 10 more minutes from you, and we can wrap up the session. Okay. Unless somebody's falling asleep at the wheel. So, but yeah. So, I guess like what kind of bait hook questions? Trying to figure out who might be a cultist and who might be continuing on. Do you guys want to try to do?
I mean,
some base information.
Sorry.
It's fine. Some base information that you already know. You do know that Miss Lewell, she works with her brother, she was the active merchant of selling the curios she finds up in Waterdeep. Actually, that's really the only information you know about everybody else. Miss Lowell chimes up and she's like, "Oh well, yeah, I'm bringing this cartload all the way up to Waterdeep for my brother in his shop. I will probably, it's like in part of this trek, I will also be stopping off at various places to possibly pick up more little curios. I hear the tent village right outside the bridge, has all kinds of trade goods and everything going on there, but they do tend to raise their prices up so much. It's very much everyone's well aware that it's a dangerous road and it's one of the last safe places to supply before Waterdeep. So I think there's a little price gouging there. So don't buy anything without talking with me first, because I'll really let you know if you're getting a good deal or if they're trying to pull one over on you. The lawyer, he goes, "Oh well, this is actually my stop. From there, there's a few prisoners located in there that are believed to be part of this sect called the Dark Shadow that have been apprehended, and I have I'm transporting up a list of potential crimes they may or may not be linked to, and some evidence. So I will be stopping there to hopefully aid in the serving of justice to those foul people." And Archie goes, "Yeah, I'll still be heading up north to oh God, what is that place called?"
And who is this that's saying this?
This is the Tanner. "Yeah, I'll be heading up past Dragon's Ford, past Dragon's Creek, past Waterdeep. People don't buy furs where it's warm, so." Where about how far up are you guys heading? I don't know if it was my audio, but it kind of cut out there. What's up? Yeah, it seems to be a good place for people to stop. It's more or less the edge of civilization. Hit it, turn around. And this is when Miss Little chimes up and goes, "Oh, but it really is so civilized and is the cutting edge of civilization. The whole city is almost a country in and of to itself, and there's just so many wonderful things there. I honestly, I think these little adventures I go on that take me away from it only make me love it more when I come back."
So you're from Waterdeep originally, then?
Yeah, well, my brother and I were born in the area around Waterdeep, but our families come from much further away. Come on, Sword Coast. We actually are from a small city, a small town located over in the Dale Lands, which is like almost the other side of the continent.
Okay.
Miss Lou, yes. Yeah. So, from the people you've spoken with, it looks like the only one from that group that is going to stop is
The lawyer.
the lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just in terms of her own curiosity, Zell would start talking to him about this whole shadowy thing that he was mentioning, and ooh, what is that? And how bad is it? And what's going on? Like just like court, like watching court TV. She doesn't really care, but it's a little bit interesting.
Like court TV.
I mean,
Yeah, no. Yes. Okay. Where is
it's better than nothing. Or like the 700 Club.
That's not better than nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Court TV better than the 700 Club. That's what I'm saying. When you hit midday before cable and there was nothing on.
Well, it's actually two groups, but I believe that they are connected, and I'm pretty sure that I can prove it. There is one group called the Black Network Spies, and their spies are referred to as the Shadows. We believe there are two shadows from that Black Network, but we also believe that this Black Network of spies and mercenaries is actually a front for the Zentrahim, which are a group of extremists that are looking to find their way into every corner of government and effectively put their own puppets in control and almost take over the Sword Coast in that way. Which I know it sounds a little extreme and out there, but if you just and he starts pulling out like various like
bits of
heralds,
documentation and
pieces of documentation, and like he starts red stringing, like he actually busts out a piece of red string on the ground and shows like this connection of timelines. He goes, now I don't have enough space right here right now, and I don't want to get all of this dirty, so I can't get too far, but
oh, and she's encouraging. She's like, ooh, gin, here, have some. And ooh, what's that? And she's fascinated.
And every time you like start to like push, like you're like, oh, what's that? You start to like point something. He like brushes your hand away from. It's like, don't touch. We have to make sure these stay in good order, so that way they're legible.
This is the rest of her evening because this is brilliant.
You do know with Carradine and Falar, with your passive perceptions, you do note that the pole and a few other of the guards also seem to be like half paying attention and looking over at the spider web, like you know, people who don't want to admit that they like court TV.
Yeah. Well, while that's going on, I think I'm going to chat up the Tanners group. And there's a bunch of them, right, Kirk? There's like a bunch of people with the Tanners. And
Yeah,
see if I can... want to see if I can get them talking about where they're from, where they're based out of, and how often they make this trip.
Okay.
I'm shit at persuasion, so I'm just gonna say it like that.
Yeah. Where are you from? How often do you make this trip? Roll your persuasion. I mean, like, to be perfectly honest, the way I always treat persuasion checks, and this is just so that everybody knows, I think I've stated this before, is what you physically say is what sets the DC. So that way, even if you have a really bad persuasion score, you can still do well on a persuasion check. Conversely, this also really the people it seems to piss off the most are the people who make characters who are supposed to be great at persuasion, but then put no effort into trying to make their characters persuasive. But in this case, for you, no, Fowler would absolutely be like, "So where are you from? How often do you do this?"
Yeah, and my roll definitely reflects that. I rolled a 5. I have a -2, so I have a grand 3 for my persuasion check.
Yeah. Mouthpiece looks up at you and says, "Yeah, wouldn't you like to know, Knife Ear? Just go back to your carrots."
I deserve that.
Yeah, you do. That's why I said it. Okay. And I mean, like, break rank isn't that far. I mean, you're still all within, a, couple of feet of each other. Because you're all gathered around, like, the big fire and the cooking pot. So, yeah, I would still call that a persuasion. Like, you're, like, body signaling somebody to come on over. 17. He, at first, when he sees you do that, he goes, like, looks away, and then he's kind of like, then he remembers he's the fucking pole. And as you do that, he gets up and he does the big, just dusting himself off, comes over, and he just kind of like so while like the network is still on the ground and the lawyer and Zell are definitely still down there. He kind of stays standing and just looks over it all and just it's very quiet. He points at a few pieces like, "You're blaming him for murder, for theft, whatever that is. It's a lot of crime for a body to make." And with that, the lawyer just kind of goes, "Oh, we see this all isn't one person. It's a whole network of people that are committing many crimes on." And he starts going to that, and the poll's just like, Yeah, and he kind of like just starts kind of going with it and goes, "So you mean to blame a body for what other bodies did?" And the lawyer kind of stops at that and is like, "Well, no, it would only be for what they actually did. That's how justice works. But what this does is that," he goes, "Well, what relates directly to them? Shouldn't that be where your focus is?" And he goes, "Well, yes, we've already got that. That's not. They don't need a lawyer for that. No, it's in, because part of what's justice is, you can, if we convince them that giving us more information on these other people that did these things, then their sentence can be reduced." And so and this back and forth just kind of goes on for a while, where like the pole both doesn't understand but also is a little disgusted by what he's seeing, and the lawyer is trying to explain it but doesn't know how to explain it without using the like technical lawyer jargon, which the pole does not understand. And just the longer he stays there talking with the lawyer, you see him start to like really cross his arms, start bobbing his head. He starts grinding his foot into the ground. Pole's just not having it. He's not having it with this fancy city folk lawyer. Roll a quick persuasion. 9. I think everyone should just mind their own business. I'm gonna do the same. And with that, he just kind of like, he's so large, so you're not sure if he's walking away or stomping away. As a reminder, this guy, as a human, this guy clears 7 feet. So, all right. But I am going to say that the night more or less pitters out as people drink, and watches take over, shifts go, and you start falling back into that rhythm a little bit quicker as the literal end of your first leg is in sight. And with that, we're going to call it a night.
Cool.
Excellent. Good to be back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
Since I'm at home and it's all on video, I'm not confined as much due to, family shit.
Eric,
Yeah.
I didn't say it earlier, but it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been months, possibly even more like a year and a half.
It has, because, well, a little over a year, because we stopped playing just before my daughter was born, and she just had her
Yeah.
first birthday about a month and a half ago. So,
And I know I remember I saw you leading up to Halloween, because you were talking about how everyone gets together in like someone's driveway with big bowls of candy.
oh yeah,
So it's been I think it's been about 6-7 months since I last saw you.
yeah, wouldn't doubt it.
But yeah, no, it's a really long time. But it is good seeing you. So
Yeah.
Oh,